What is something you will never tell your parents about? I put my fist through the wall behind my old bedroom door at my parents' house many years ago. To this day, they have no idea it is there thanks to a strategically placed Star Wars poster that I never took down. I live in fear of the day they decide to remove it. When I was 13, I told my parents I was sleeping over at a friend's house. I actually took a 4-hour bus ride to Los Angeles and went to a Marilyn Manson concert. Of all the things I did as a kid, this is the only major one they never seemed to find out about. I knew about my brother's PRN stash because he kept it under the towels in our shared bathroom. But don't you worry, big bro. I'll never tell our parents that you have a thing for large black women that don't shave. Your secret is safe with me and the internet. I'm sorry I told everyone about that time you got diarrhea in Barnes & Noble. And I'm sorry for repeating it again now. That I was secretly using the house phone for RuneScape memberships. When I was a junior in high school, I bought my dog at a flea market for $20. Rubbed some dirt on her, brought her home, and told my parents she was a stray I found at a friend's house. They still have no idea. Yay. A happy story not involving SX drugs tree fiddy. That time I accidentally went too fast over train tracks and got some air in our minivan. Accidentally. I found the SX tape of my mom and dad. Not knowing what it was, I played it. To this day, I feel like I'm going to puke when I think about it. And that's how I found out my father was into pegging. One night when I was young, I was curious what an LSX felt like, so I stuck a dog bone up my ass. It felt as painful as it did shameful, so I pulled that shitty covered bone out and quietly buried it in the backyard in the dark. A year or so later, my mom was gardening and found it and gave it back to the dog. I used to drink the milk straight from the jug in the middle of the night. Sometimes if it was late enough, I'd do this naked. And your mom never felt you doing it. What actually happened to my bicycle when I was 10? I told them that it was stolen, when really I wrecked it trying to do a stupid trick. Aside from that, I will probably never tell them what college was really like. There was a handyman who came to do work on my house when I was about 10. The next day I noticed my bike was missing. Then, the next time he came back, he brought me his son's old bike because he had heard that mine had gone missing. His son's old bike was a piece of shitty. He stole my bike and I want it back. Any of my fetishes? Well, I think I know one of them. I broke my younger brother's brand new bed. He literally had it for 3 days and I blamed his big bonetedness. I will never discuss my biological father with my own dad. Too awkward. Posting nudes on the internet. But where did you post them? I mean, R.I.P. your inbox. How my penis curves when erect. Yeah, why tell them when you can show them? When I was 6 or 7, I broke the little plastic end of the ceiling fan chain off. Seeing as I was an unreasonably moral child, I feared for my life and hid it in a secret portion of my bunk bed. I never told my parents and re-hid it when we got rid of the bunk bed. Didn't tell anyone until my first girlfriend. And I abstained from telling my parents to this day, for no good reason. Needless to say, I had a pretty tame childhood. Edit. What the FCK, you guys? Now everyone's gonna know. I see a future in some undercover intelligence for you. A lesser person would have given up. But you stayed committed. And that is why your country needs you. The kids at school didn't scrape my car up, key my car. I fell asleep while speeding to school and nailed a mailbox with my car. The mailbox slid up the hood, over the windshield, and landed about 50-100 ft behind my car, while the car ended up in a ditch. Amazingly, other than the scratches, no damage to the car. I left a $20 in the ruined mailbox, with a note that said sorry, and proceeded on my way to school. Edit. Less than a week later, there was a new mailbox, Mounted on a pressure-treated 4x4. Set in concrete. That I've been a stripper for 3 years now. My mom knows I don't live the most conventional life. But she would be so disappointed. I feel like there's some things best kept away from them. I'll never tell them I'm a mathematician. They'd never accept me for it. Just doesn't add up. I worked as an escort during university. I earned more money than them both combined. Can you give details? Like prices you charge for certain things? And do you still do or wish you still did it? Grandparents raised me. My grandfather took me to their church to sign me up for church camp, then after he was inside signing the paperwork told me to go get the truck. 13-year-old me was super excited. I put the truck in reverse. Hit the gas. Went to hit the brake. Didn't move my foot and hit the gas again. Crunch right into a car. I panicked. Went to put the car in drive. IDK what happened, but I never put the car in drive. Hit the gas and crunched some more. F150 on a Crown Vic, and the only thing scratched was the plastic on the top of my bumper. But the right hand tail light of the Crown Vic was demolished. I pulled away and prayed no one saw. My prayers were answered. A week later at church camp, the pastor gave a sermon on how someone hit his car and was going to hell for not fessing up. I will never tell them. TL. DR. Pastor thinks I'm going to hell. But God answered my prayer, so I think I'm good. How much time I dedicate to Reddit per day? They would be very disappointed. They're adopted. That I got pregnant right when a boyfriend of mine and I broke up, the first time. I got an abortion because I didn't want the baby to have a dad that resented it. I then fell into depression and flunked out of college and lost my financial aid. That's why I couldn't afford going to college anymore and dropped out, not just because they raised tuition. Edit. Wow, thank you whoever you are for the gold. I'm also incredibly touched at the support from all of you. It's been really cathartic talking about it. And I love talking about theater too, so I'm not at all offended by those questions, lol. Also to all of you who have gone through the same thing or are about to. Bless you and much love to you all. Damn, that's some deep stuff right there. You okay now? Obvious throwaway here. My mother thinks I graduated university with a master's degree 4 years ago. She was so proud of me that she got a mortgage on her home to buy me a car. I actually never graduated. But I lied to my place of employment as well, and luckily it was never questioned. And since I'm pretty well self-educated in my field, it never was an issue. I still pay her $200 a week just to help out. That I sat at the top of the stairs for months late at night listening to them talk about how their marriage is failing. About how we let them down. About how there was no love anymore. And the day finally came that they dropped the bomb on us. I cried out and acted all upset. But I was already dead inside. That I am the bottom in my gay relationship. It's never the one you think, and I don't want my parents thinking about me getting pounded in the ass. Or that my friend and I used to put a blanket on my roof and slide down it, stopping ourselves with our feet only a foot or two before the roof ended. We were dumb. One scenario is unlike the other. That before I was married, I was in more relationships with men than women. My parents adopted me and are now 76 and 82. They would never understand my usage of hard drugs and how they paid for most of it. My mom's car smelled so bad that they couldn't get in it for a few days is because I sprayed 2 bottles of liquid S everywhere inside. I had sex with my mom's best friend. She's hot as FCK. My dad got a raise at his job because I blackmailed his boss. How it felt being the red-headed middle child of the family. How lonely I felt because I was always squeezed out of valued time and attention by an older sibling with very little emotional control and a younger sibling who was the baby of the family and who they seemed determined not to repeat the mistakes they'd made with. Story time. So I went to hockey camp when I was 16, and at hockey camp you don't masturbate. Ever. That's weird. So imagine a 16-year-old man. 2 weeks of no jerking off. I'm about ready to explode. When I get home I rush up to my room and start doing the deed. I was about halfway through my masturbatory session when I realize, oh no, I have nowhere to blow this load. No tissues. No towel. Nothing. So, in my infinitely creative teenage mind, I figure if I blow it into the carpet and rub it in with my foot the semen will disappear. So I did. Unbeknownst to me, semen stained a yellowish greenish color in this particular brand of carpet. 2 days later, my friend and I are downstairs hanging around. All of a sudden my mom comes down and says, Buzzumumu, you need to quit drinking Mountain Dew upstairs. You spilled it all over the carpet and I had to clean it all up. TLDR. Jerked off on carpet. Mother cleaned it without knowing. Poker face success. Edit. My mother doesn't actually call me Buzzumumu. That's just my Reddit name. Sorry to disappoint guys. I've attempted suicide 3 times. My mother still has no idea. She thinks I'm just had accidents. Like falling and breaking a limb. When I go to the hospital. That I was ARPed when I was 6 years old by our security guard's son. I'm a heterosexual male so it was a traumatizing experience. This was in Ecuador. We moved to the United States a year later. I never found the courage to open up to my parents. I've tried killing myself a couple of times but baseball helped me keep my mind off things. Got a full ride to play at a Division I school. Screw throwaways. I would never tell my folks that I almost died of an overdose when I was 16. Edit. More background on what happened. I guess. I took too many sleeping pills one night. I had a flesh wound on my hand that festered pretty bad. And I had a massive fever and was in pain. I had been dabbling with some Valium recreationally before. And had built some tolerance to it. A guy I knew gave me some Nembutal to try to fall asleep after 3 almost sleepless nights. It was a stupid decision. And I don't want to give my parents any guilt for giving me my education back then. That I'm an atheist. I have 4 parents, divorced and then remarried, who are all pastors. 2 are assistants to the state bishop and the other teach at a Lutheran seminary. So I'm keeping that to myself. It was New Year's Day. Past midnight. But still nighttime. I was in my room and my dad and his girlfriend were downstairs. I was in my room and I started to hear some stuff going downstairs. It was faint. But very apparent. I leaned in next to the vent in my room, over the living room where they were. They were having sex. This emotionally scarred me for weeks. Maybe even months. But not because of the sex. I was a teenager. And people were having sex. I masturbated for about 10 seconds before I had the biggest orgasm of my entire life. Then I realized I jacked off to my dad having sex with a person. That is when the mind breaking began. I've told my dad that I heard him. But I will never tell him that I jacked off to him boning a chick. I hope this gets lost in the comments. As soon as I graduate high school I'm leaving their religion and really don't wish to speak with them again. Edit. They're Christian and I am a senior. The amount of guy on guy / fanfics I've read. And that I use the Kindle they bought me almost exclusively for /fics. Also my interest in being dominated by a guy. Not like the whips and chains kind of dominated. Just a guy using his body to control and handle me. My parents would probably be shocked by this since they think of me as a feminist. And apparently I'm only supposed to like ultra submissive guys? Just because I'm a feminist doesn't mean I don't want a guy to hold me down and FCK me until I scream. The amount of molestation in this Reddit is too damn high. How much of an absolute psycho I was as a teenager. Yeah. I know. Everyone's an asshole as a teenager. I hardly invented that. And I'm pretty sure my parents got the hint that I went out with my friends and sometimes we did things that were not quite legal. But, God, my friends and I were something else. Smashing car windshields with slingshot marbles. Throwing rocks through school windows. Blowing up pumpkins in people's yards. hitting golf balls off the roof of a school into a random neighborhood until we heard a window break. We were f***ing feral. It was f***ed up, and looking back on how we probably ruined a lot of people's weeks, I'm pretty embarrassed about it. My parents always had a boys will be boys attitude. But I don't know how they'd feel if they knew the full extent of it. A whole lot. They're unfailingly critical and negative about everything I tell them. Guess what? I'm going to Thailand for a 3-week holiday. Their reply: I heard that place is dangerous. You shouldn't go. I've been offered a job straight out of uni. Their reply: where are you going to live if you have to move for the job? This sounds like a bad idea. Close bracket. So, I prefer not to say anything to spare myself the negativity and disappointment. My honest opinion of their parenting methods. This is an old example. But if your kid isn't doing well in school, you don't just say this is unacceptable. Ground them. And then do absolutely nothing to help them do better. If your kid fails and you do nothing to help them succeed, why would you be surprised when they fail again? Or when your kid gets a final offer on a full-time job, and they tell you they want to take a year off of college to save up money because there won't be enough for the coming year. You don't freak out at them and rage that most people who take a year off don't go back. And then, when your kid turns down the job and goes to school like you wanted, you don't get to be upset when there isn't enough money for spring semester. I apologize for ranting, and for anyone that reads this, I needed to vent. The time I spilled the cup of apple juice in the hall. Please tell mom this is not her fault. My DLDO collection. I'm a guy. Enough said. That I'm not really their son. My guess is he found out that he was adopted and does not plan on letting his parents know that he knows. Well, thanks for filling us in on the rest of the story. Jesus. Stealing our trees from their stash on a routine basis. They know. Mom. Dad. All those times I talked to you on deployment and told you that we were just hanging out on free onboards pulling guard duty were complete bullshit. I don't know how to talk to you guys about the shit I have seen or the things I have done. I am not a kid you raised. I'm sorry that I drink so much and that it has caused you problems. I try to stay as far away as possible just to keep my behavior from your eyes, and I hope you don't think I stay away because I don't love you. You guys are awesome and I wish I was a better son. My mom is a post-polio victim and is bedridden. They told her she would never walk and she waitresses for over 30 years. Once in the bed the pain also caught up to her. I made her a pan of marijuana brownies. Now she is against it, marijuana, because it is illegal. Mom is almost 70 and was brought up in the Bible Belt. She remarked several times during the few days it took her to eat her special brownies that she was just feeling really good and her pain is lighter. I have often wanted to tell her, but she still would not use and she would be so angry with me. Okay. I have now confessed somewhere my sin against my mom. I am a Patriots fan but I hate the Red Sox. Listen son. It's really not a big deal. We don't care if you hate the Red Sox. All we care about is that you get the FCK out of this house and never come back, you little shitty. I'm a kinky bisexual guy with some slight sadistic and dominant tendencies. They are the reason for my depression, regardless of intention. I once spent $1,000 US on a Minecraft server. I don't regret it. That I know where they hide their condoms. All the nudes I post on Reddit, I use a throwaway suckers. They'd flip out. Honestly, a nice ego boost is just what I need some days. Stopped at the word throwaway, then read your username. Much better. Since my parents are very conservative Mexicans, they will never know I lost my virginity 2 days ago. My mother already threatened to kill me if she ever found out I was having sex with my boyfriend. I watch a lot more movies than I say I do, so I don't have to talk about them. That my sister is going to marry her girlfriend. I wish I could. But no one in my family wants me to. 5 words. IFK'd a banana plant. Yes folks, you read that right. It was somewhere in Asia. I was 13 at the time. Now hormones and whatnot. And plus internet PRN was not a big thing back then. It was this one night when I was really horny. I had grown tired of my PRN mags and dull imagination. I was crazy horny that one night. Luckily my parents were not home. So I proceeded out back door with dick in hand. And there was that banana tree. The only one noticeable plant in our backyard. I grabbed a knife and proceeded to drill a hole in the poor tree. My dick was hard as titanium, so I ran and grabbed some lotion for the tree. I put it in all moist and rough, but I still F-K'd it to completion. I F-K'd it for a good 10 minutes and my dick felt like it was on fire, and then bam. I didn't bother to clean up afterwards. I only stuffed the hole with dirt. Don't judge me cause it only happened once. Once.